In this video, I'm going to demonstrate an interesting property of the single-shot autofocus mode. In this mode, called AFS, you might expect the camera operates like its namesake, that is, focusing once and only once on the subject you have set under the autofocus point. But single-shot AF is more involved than that. In certain situations, it'll actually perform more like AFC, the continuous autofocus mode of the camera that tracks moving subjects. Let's do an experiment to demonstrate this. I have a Z6 and 50mm Z lens set up on a tripod in front of a crosshatch autofocus target. To the left, I have a computer keyboard on its side, serving as a focus reference so we can visually track the focus movement of the lens. I have pre-focused to the target, which sits near the minimum focus distance of the lens. Note how the target is about in line with the C on the keyboard at this position. I'm then going to manually rack focus all the way to infinity and then press and hold AF on to focus, while at the same time sliding the target away from the camera toward infinity. We'll then observe both the target and the keyboard to see what the focusing system does in response to this scenario. I'm racking focus to infinity and positioning my hand to get ready to slide to target. I'll show this at different speed, but for now, watch the red focus square and notice when it turns green. I've started focusing and moving the target back at the same time. Did you notice how the focus square stayed red until I stopped moving the target? That's because the camera kept refocusing as I moved it. It only turned green after I stopped and the camera finalized the focus. Now let's watch in slow motion. Using the keyboard keys as your reference, notice how the camera is advancing focus from infinity toward the camera. The target started on the focus plane where the C key was. Will the camera first try to focus to that position since that's where the target was when it first acquired focus? Or will it instead resample and course correct during the movement? As you can see, it's the latter, as the camera has caught up to the target and stopped any further focus progression toward minimum focus distance. This means the camera didn't direct the lens to that initial position as a single movement command. Or if it did, it later canceled that movement and replaced it with other shorter movement commands. In other words, it wasn't a single command directed by the initial focus sample that the camera committed to and stuck with. Instead, it course corrected during the course of the focus once it reached the target. The target is still moving and we can see the camera tracking its movement, which required the camera actually reversing direction of the lens so that it's now moving back toward infinity rather than toward the original target position near minimum focus distance. The camera clearly considers the focus incomplete and continues to track until I eventually stop moving the target and the focus indicator finally turns green. Again, the camera is operating more like a continuous focus mode than static. Does this have any practical implications for shooting? Probably not, but it does provide insight into some of the more technical aspects of the autofocus system and helps resolve some open questions we might have. For example, some might theorize that movement and precision of the focus motor of the lenses might cause misfocus in AFS mode and even suggest it might need autofocus fine-tuning as a result. With this demonstration, we can see how that's unlikely, since any under or overshoot of the lens movement will be detected by the camera during its continuous sampling of the target, provided the movement is beyond the threshold the camera detects as being out of focus. In other words, any imprecision of the lens movement should be corrected automatically by the focusing system. There are other implications as well, which I plan to explore in future videos.